There's all kinds of conspiracy theories going around about COVID-19. Charlie Angus, the NDP MP, says he's had to tell his constituents the government does not have a plan to build a network of COVID internment camps.
We have seen over the past number of years a rise in concerted efforts around misinformation and disinformation on a broad range of subjects designed to undermine people's confidence in their institutions, in their democracies. Some are foreign actors trying to disrupt successful democracies. As a government, we need to continue to stand strong, particularly during a public health crisis where the best thing Canadians can do can listen to experts, can listen to doctors, can listen to people who are focused on keeping them safe every single day. I was chatting with a group of students the other day, and a young woman asked me about COVID internment camps. And we need to continue to be attentive to source, need to continue to be attentive to comparing various reports and looking for trusted sources like Dr. Tam, like regional public health authorities to tell the truth. As soon as possible in the coming weeks, we will be introducing mandatory PCR testing at the airport for people returning to Canada. Travelers will then have to wait for up to 3 days at an approved hotel for their test results at their own expense, which is expected to be more than $2,000. Those with negative test results will then be able to quarantine at home under significantly increased surveillance and enforcement. Those with positive tests will be immediately required to quarantine in designated government facilities.
From what I seen, that was an internment camp, holding somebody without charge or without intent to charge. Yeah, I needed to go quarantine at home. If it was a shared residence, I had to, of course, limit my interaction with anybody else that was in that home. There would be also random calls to my house over the next 11 days to make sure that I'm complying with this. And if I wasn't, then yeah, I could be charged $1 million or 3 years in jail.
Steve Dusing is finally free from the COVID hotel containment center. I guess they don't want us calling it a detention center, but you talk to Steve Dusing and he'll tell you what he thought it was.
Chili and rice and a salad and a Diet Coke. $47 at Sheridan Gateway Airport in Toronto.
This is the Alt Hotel, and it's at Pearson International Airport. And on Monday, it won't be a traditional hotel. It will be one of several in Canada and also here in Toronto that have been deemed by the federal government to be a quarantine center.
It's just nightmarish, and I'm still stunned at how draconian this is and utterly unscientific. This is evidence-free public policy. All international travelers coming back to Canada starting February 22nd will have to be imprisoned for 3 days in a hotel. Full stop. Everybody.
So we just actually put out an article, in Saga did, confirming from police that at Pearson Airport, they're allowing people that flew in internationally just to walk out. Right?
Is that right?
Yeah, so and they're not refusing, so if they refuse everything, they can walk out. But people that actually cooperate get a fine.
Got my bags, and we're gonna go outside. We're gonna refuse their stupid test, and tell everybody to refuse their stupid test. Hi. Yes, because I have a medical condition, so I don't need to wear one. And I'm also a Canadian citizen, and this is a violation of our Charter Rights, Section 6, and a violation of the Emergency Act 14.1. So I'm going to be declining your test today. Thank you very much. No problem, I'll happily do that. Everybody in here, if you are a Canadian citizen, simply deny the test, deny their quarantine, and there's nothing you can do. They cannot stop you, they cannot force you. You are a citizen, you have rights. Everybody, this is what you do. You say no to their test, no to their quarantine, and if you're a citizen or a permanent resident, there's absolutely nothing they can do but acknowledge that you have rights and they have to respect them. Is that not true? Say it's true for the camera, everybody. Say it's true.
So you have some identification?
I do, of course. That's not a problem. I refuse to take your test 1,000,000%. And everybody in here, Canadian citizens, you can refuse the test. Just say no, don't wait in line, and there's nothing they can do.
Obviously, we've taken significant measures to keep Canadians safe. We're aware that we need to be thoughtful and compassionate about people who are in extremely difficult situations and absolutely need to travel. We're not trying to punish people. We're trying to keep people safe every step of the way. What we're doing is to keep all Canadians safe.
On entry into Canada, her passport was seized and she was forced into a taxi without knowing where she would be taken. She was forced into a federal-run facility under a federal duty of care by the Liberal government, and she was sexually assaulted. This is misogyny and a gross violation of her rights. The Deputy Prime Minister and the Health Minister have implied the victim shouldn't have traveled. Were they suggesting that she deserved what happened to her under their duty of care?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, every woman deserves to live a life free of violence and a life of dignity. But I will repeat, these border measures are in place to protect Canadians, and they will remain in place until such time that science and evidence indicates that it is safe to release them.
It is a systemic breakdown of the checks and balances that exist to protect Canadians from arbitrary and unilateral rule. The reason why you have democracy and constitutionalism is so that you have representation by the people, so that they can see themselves in the laws that are being created, which govern them, but also so that you have a check on the kind of authoritarianism that used to exist during the Dark Ages, where you had kings and religious figures making unilateral laws for people without any checks and balances, which is why you have a constitution. In our submission to the court, that they are arbitrarily determined, and that they are not rationally connected to any legitimate government objective. And so, the lawsuit will remind the court, the lawyers will remind the court and the government in our submissions that the Constitution is the supreme law in Canada, not the orders of a health official who is not democratically accountable.
People getting dragged away and locked in what they're calling COVID jails, all because they got the wrong COVID test in the United States. And then when they get here, it's just like they've done something wrong. And this is happening without any warning, without any justification, explanation. And it is a real violation of our basic charter rights, because our charter clearly lays out that we have a right to enter and leave this country. We have the right to liberty and security of our person, and the right to not be arbitrarily detained or imprisoned. We also have the right to retain legal counsel. We have the right not to be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment. And yet, time and again, be it in Calgary, where we've seen it a couple of times, or here at Toronto, we're hearing stories that the exact opposite is happening.
There's no reason why people cannot talk to their friends and loved ones. And the whole notion of secret facilities is creepy. That's what you have under Nazis and communists and repressive regimes in the past and in the present. You have secret prisons and nobody knows where the people are. And it's just horrific to think that if you are accused of murder, you have more legal rights than a Canadian returning home to her own country. Because if you get accused of murder, you have the right to be presumed innocent. You have a right to call a lawyer. The government does not have any right to put you in a secret location. And if you are detained, that's going to be put before a judge for an independent, impartial review. And so a judge is going to look at it and either rule that, okay, fine, we're going to keep you in jail because you're a threat to society, or no, we're going to let you out on bail and you can have your freedom until your trial is held. So an accused murderer has more rights than a returning Canadian coming back to Canada.